Round one. Fight!
Okay, so what's funny about Leo's super is that, you know, people who are on the Leo sucks train, Leo's this, Leo's that, Leo's worse than Asuka, almost, you know, close to war, they think Leo's super is this god tier, you know, S tier Magneto, Storm, Sentinel type super where, you know, they block it, you do 100 chip, they take, God forbid they take damage, you do 200 damage, so on and so forth. Okay, for those who don't know what the super is, I guess I could do like a quick overview first, give y'all a sense of what it is. It's like, I don't know how to describe it. Like I think the American name for it is the Millennium Wave, and it's essentially just that. It's like a Marvel super, or like an a Final Smash in Smash Brothers. It just, look at it. It's cool as hell. At a glance, look at all that damage. Just like, you know, what's not to love about it? It's a full screen. It's almost, like I said, Marvel-like super. It looks undodgeable, very hard to dodge. The question becomes, what's wrong with it? Well, here's the first main problem with the super, alright? Vulnerable startup. And a lot of startup at that. And that's not to mention, it's vulnerable throughout the entire thing. Watch this. Jump over him. He can be hit out of it at any time. There is zero invincibility throughout the entire duration of his super. This makes it an outlier in comparison to every super in the game, except Wingnuts, who can be hit out of startup, but he keeps his meter. It's just those two, and it's only Leo who loses both meter and can get hit. You know, even characters like War, who get into a little ball at first before he starts attacking, when he crouches, he's still throw invulnerable and hit invulnerable. Leo is the only super where if he's hit, he loses both meter and takes damage. So obviously you should go without saying why this is bad, but I can give you an example of in a fight where, you know, you really feel it. So say Leo gets the knockdown like this, he's like, cool, let's super. Just that. You can be red. You know, it's a habit in every single fighting game, but especially in tournament fighters with extremely powerful supers, where as soon as that meter starts flashing, especially in this game where meter drains after a while, you have an urge to use it as soon as it flashes. And you know if you're playing as anybody else, especially characters with great supers like Raph super, you know, with Mike's invincibility, if you get a knockdown, you know, maybe you can, because a lot of characters struggle with challenging it. But with Leo, if you get the meter and decide to use it immediately, or if the opponent just gets a read, they can hit you out of it, and of course, as I said, you lose everything. Okay, in classic waffle burner fashion, I like to go over what sucks about it first, then the good stuff. And since we've already covered the fact that it has no invincibility on startup, and when you hit it out of startup, when you hit it at that startup, you lose meter. But there's also something really bad that hinders this super a lot, okay? And what it is the fact that if you can become one frame airborne off of a knockdown or anywhere else, you can take minimal damage. So the characters Shredder, Asuka, and Armagon are considered quote-unquote the Three Stooges, and essentially what that means is that they share different quirks that all three of them have in common. And they share this with Rat King too, but you know, he's generally considered not legal, so you know, we keep it to the three of them, alright? So one of the infamous ones is that in block there's a moment where they drop their guard, which makes them susceptible to character-specific unblockables. But a positive quirk that they have is that anywhere on the screen, if they hold up, they can become one frame airborne automatically. Okay, so worst case scenario is, look, Leo gets a knockdown and he's throwing the super, but look what Shredder can do. That was me doing nothing in particular, no timing, just holding up, and look at the damage I took. Complete and utter minimal damage. When you're high on health and damage starts scaling, you can take as little as 3 to 5% damage. It was only that much because it was from 0. Okay, so there could be a point made. It's like, okay, that's only 3 characters who can go 1 frame airborne just from holding up. How is it against other characters? For instance, how is it against the turtles? Can they do anything? And I have something unfortunate to show you guys. Yes, the turtles can do a similar thing. Okay, to be fair, only Mike and Leo can go 1 frame airborne with their reversals. So, what can Raph and Dawn do? And Yartar taught me this. So, you gotta predict it, but you can jump at Leo when his super comes out, get hit, and then backflip on wake up. Because head spin with Dawn, his head spin is of course grounded the whole time, which is his only reversal next to backflip, and Raph's only reversal instead of backflip is chestbuster. Both are grounded. So what they can do is what I just showed. And although you won't take as little damage as the Three Stooges or Leo or Mike doing a 1 frame airborne move, it still hurts Leo, because if the player has that knowledge, they can just take 5 to 10 damage. Okay, so at this point it's like, so what's good about the super? You know, everybody can seem to take minimal damage if they get a read, and even if he's right up in your face and he knocks you over, it seems like you could just hold up a reversal. In general, just not take a lot of damage, you know, as much as you see in the start. And I'd say, yeah, you're not even wrong. But what makes the super C tier, as in okay and not mediocre or bad to mediocre and D tier, is the fact that you can get some mileage out of it, and I'll show you soon. So in neutral, what I like to do is this. So, you know, when you get the super, people are going to be like, oh, you got the super, let's jump at him so we can take advantage of the fact that he's not invincible. What I like to do is this. You get super, they jump at you, you DP, then you super. Or something else Yartar taught me is you jump at him with an air-to-air, and then you super to catch him right there. And I think that's real neat, and I'm very happy he taught me that one. And you might be inclined to ask why I picked Chrome Dome for this one. And it's actually because even with how bad the matchup is, Chrome Dome suffers against Leo's super, believe it or not. So watch this, watch this. Let me get a knockdown. This is how much damage Chrome Dome is taking, because his only other option is, let's get it again, to reversal Chrome Spark. But if he does, it's lights out. And all that is specifically because Chrome Dome and Wingnut have the longest pre-jump frames before they become airborne. So even if they try just to be quirky or as a last second resort, they physically cannot jump up in the air to dodge the super because their jumps are slow. And it's funny because Wingnut is another baddish, you know, not Leo favored, definitely matchup. And, you know, Wingnut likes to be in the air. So if at any point Leo catches him and does that, Wingnut has to take all of it. And although it's not match winning by any means, it's definitely helpful, especially in a bug game like this where most characters can take 5 to 10 damage. So the way I play the matchup is I essentially try to pin Wingnut down, because, you know, he's gonna be zoning, and maybe, just maybe, he might throw a bad Moonbuster just like this. I get the DP, and then he takes all that chip. And before I even get the meter, the way I get it is usually doing space normals, or maybe even doing CPS chains, forcing him to block and forcing him to stay out of that air. In conclusion, Leo Super is just okay. If you were to put it on the tier list, it's probably right in the middle. Better than Shredder's, maybe next to Shredder, maybe worse. Whatever you think. But it's definitely a C tier. Yes, characters can take minimum damage if they strategize, and if they know, if they can knowledge check you, if they're not Wingnut or Chrome Dome. But damage is damage, right? All you gotta do is strategize. I was telling people or I tell people sometimes when I describe the super, it's one of the most setup heavy supers in the game. You can't just throw it out. You don't have invincibility for that. It's not ignorant, quote unquote. you have to do something like get a knockdown, make them scared, DP them on the ground, and then throw the super, and you'll still get minimum damage, but in my eyes, damage is damage regardless. Sometimes people's inputs get slipped out of nerves, or maybe they don't know. They can drop a reversal and end up eating the whole super. You know, sometimes you gotta take those. And there's one particular thing about Leo's super that I love. If you get a dizzy at any time in the match, and you get meter, or you already had it, it's almost a guaranteed win for you. If it doesn't kill them, it's a guaranteed re-dizzy. Now, as a Leo main, I have never had the fortune of this happening, because usually when you gain meter and have access to super, both of you guys are near death, right? But it's still there. If it ever happens and you gain meter, you could do super and you dizzy them, either they're going to die or get re-dizzied, which is the win. So all of this is to say, while being a mid-tier super, it's definitely a welcome addition to Leo's kit. And if you ever want to try Leo, never write it off as being horrible, but at the same time, don't overestimate it, right? It's not this S tier super because it has startup, because it's exploitable, but if you're annoying and know how to check people, you can do things like get a DP, catch him in the air there, then throw super out. It's an okay super, perfectly okay, which is what I think Leo is. Better than low tier, but maybe not hanging in the, you know, high tier territory. His super is just the same. Now, I'm unaware of what character super I'll go over next, but please stay tuned for more of these super analysis videos. They're really fun. I'll see y'all later. TF is still evolving, and it's always evolving. I'll catch y'all later, alright?